وعلى آله وصحابه أجمعين. The last verse to have been revealed in the Quran. And put this into perspective. For thousands of years, since Adam alayhi salam, 10,000 years later came Nuh alayhi salam. Several thousands of years later came Ibrahim alayhi salam. A few hundred years later, Musa alayhi salam. A few hundred years later, Isa alayhi salam. And then 600 years later, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Thousands of years, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been sending us humans, messengers. And He has been speaking to those messengers. So humans, mankind have been accustomed, it has become ingrained in human society that there is a prophet in the midst of them. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is revealing to them. And that the link between the heavens and the earth are open. But this verse, the last verse to be revealed in the Quran, is essentially a seal to that. This verse cuts that link. It ends it, it seals it. And no more hearing directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So imagine, this is the last thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala advises human beings. The last thing. And no doubt this is very, very important. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ ثُمَّ تُوَفَّى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا كَسَبَتْ وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. The last thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the last words Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly speaks to us is be conscious, have taqwa of the day when you will return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the last thing. Have taqwa of this day. What is taqwa? As one of the companions explains, taqwa is like walking through a field full of thorns, full of sharp objects. When you walk through it, what are you doing? You're making sure you know exactly where your foot is stepping. You're making sure you're 100% conscious, you're 100% aware, you are planning for each and every step that you take. Why? Because you don't want to be poked by a thorn. Just a thorn. Being poked by that, we plan ahead so that we don't feel that very, very, very minute discomfort. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, have taqwa of that day. And to put it in a more modern term, it's as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, rather He is saying, center your lives around this day. Center it. Live your life by this day. And what you find very interestingly in the Quran is that whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the creation of human beings, He links that to their return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So take for example, in Surah Al-Mu'minun, in the very first page when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِنْ طِينٍ. We have created human beings from dirt. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes through the stages of the embryo, how the human being is formed in the womb of their mother. And then what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say after that? ثُمَّ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ لَمَيِّتُونَ ثُمَّ إِنَّكُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ تُبْعَثُونَ. After that, after we live our lives, we die, and after that we return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surah Al-Hajj. وَإِن كُنتُمْ فِي رَيْبٍ وَإِن كُنتُمْ فِي شَكٍّ مِنَ الْبَعْثِ وَإِن كُنتُمْ فِي رَيْبٍ مِنَ الْبَعْثِ فَإِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ. If you doubt resurrection, know that we have created you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes through the stage of the embryo again. And after that verse, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? ذلك بأن الله هو الحق وأنه يحيي الموتى. That is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the truth, and that is because He has the ability to resurrect you, and that you are going to return to Him. In Surah At-Teen, which was just recited, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. We created mankind in the best form, and then we returned them to Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Creation and resurrection. And Surah Al-Alaq, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the very first verses, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق الإنسان من علق. Talking about the creation of human beings, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say 2 or 3 verses after that? Inna ila rabbika ruj'a. Indeed, to your Lord is your return. There is something about this link that we need to understand today. Because as human beings go away from revelation, they forget the concept of the afterlife. You see very strange things occurring. And essentially what it seems, and this is my opinion, without the belief in the next life, we lose our identity as a human being. We no longer understand what it means to be a human, and you have all these strange things happening. My dear brothers and sisters, this is perhaps the last night of Ramadan. And on that note, there is news spreading by Muslim Pro that Eid is on the 5th. That Dr. Muzammil Siddiqui said that that is a mistake by their part. So if you are hearing that, that is not an official announcement. As of now, our Eid is set for June 4th. If you do not hear anything official from the masajid or from our masjid, that means it's going to be on June 4th. If there's any changes, we will, inshallah, let you know ASAP. There is a link between belief in the next life and our identity. It gives us perspective about this life. It's not worth it. It's not worth killing each other for. It's not worth getting all aroused because of. Belief in the next life is so profound, it affects every aspect of our lives, every engagement that we have. So look at, for example, the verses of divorce in Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Talaq. How many times does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, "Wattaqullah"? Be conscious of Allah, be conscious of Allah, be conscious of Allah. Why? Because you're going to return to Him. If we can live this, then even if our relationship with our spouse becomes sour, the dignity and the respect will remain. Even if our relationships go to the south, if we fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we will respect and appreciate the other person's humanity. We will respect the other person as a Muslim. Teach your kids about the next life. Constantly remind yourself and remind them of the next life. وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, remind one another, because in remembrance do believers find benefit. We need to remember outside of Ramadan as well. We need to remember there is a lot at stake here. It's not just, hey, okay, you're a better Muslim, you do more good deeds. It's okay. No, our identity is being challenged by our realities. The reality that we have become more disconnected with the next life. And alhamdulillah, as Sheikh Yasser said, IOK, the Institute of Knowledge, is here. They have a beautiful chaplaincy program. And what they do is that they designate imams like Sheikh Jamal Diwan and Sheikh Farhan Zubayr. They go to various colleges at the MSAs and they help them out. We need people like that, especially during the college years. Because that is when we are exposed to so much. The more we are in tune, the more we are connected to the next life, the more it preserves our dignity as human beings and as Muslims. So in this perhaps last night of Ramadan, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who have taqwa of the next life. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among the people of Ramadan outside of Ramadan. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless and to reward and to increase in good all those who helped us out this Ramadan. It's a privilege to speak in front of you. I know sometimes I have extended my khatiras, but I hope your patience will have benefited you in one way or another. I conclude with this. Any good that came from my khatiras, that came from the programs throughout Ramadan, that is from Allah. And we say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Anything wrong, any false information, any incorrect information that came from me, any mistakes on the administration's part or on my part, please forgive us. We do our best. And wallah, we want what's best for our community, although we might fall short in that. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. Sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in.